a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. It is 7 a.m. Yes, it is 7 a.m. on Tuesday, the 2nd of March, 2023. Welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. Yes, this morning, folks, Rhea isn't with us, but I'm not solo. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
Hi, good morning, and I am Brittany Romeo, and it's a pleasure to be here again in studio at Tobago Update. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tobago. And Julian, how are you feeling this morning?
Quite good, quite good. Can't complain at all. It's my kind of weather. Relax.
Right.
A little bleak in between, a little showers can come. I welcome all of that.
I agree with that. So that's good.
All right. So viewers, we really want to continue to thank you for choosing the Tobago Updates morning show.
Yes,
as we continue to bring all the information and updates to you. Brittany, I see that you were out in the carnival season. How was that experience?
It was actually, well, let me just say it's very good to see that we actually had carnival over since the last 2 years, and it has been very festive and enjoyable. And I did have a lot of escapades all over in Trinidad and in Tobago, so I think it's really looking forward. I look forward to see what else we'll be having as we prepare for our own Tobago Carnival later in October.
Yes, certainly indeed. Viewers, at this point, we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian and Brittany. I am Candice Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Thursday, 3rd January 2023. Grammy Award-winning boy band Boyz II Men and Jamaican reggae artist Kofi will headline the return of the Tobago Jazz Experience. According to the Tobago Festivals Commission, the Tobago Jazz Experience will return from April 20th to the 23rd after a 3-year hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The festival, which promises to be much more than music, will also feature Richie Spice, Everton Blender, Theron Shaw, Tony Paul, and Von Get Bigfoot. More artists will be added to the cast and announced in the coming weeks. Already, the announcement of the festival's return generated a buzz on social media. Meanwhile, despite public commentary, Minority Leader Kelvin Morris claims he has information to prove there was bid rigging and corruption in the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development. At last night's Minority Report on Tobago Updates, Morris read out a letter from a private Tobago-based contractor stating they were asked to tender for the Dutch Fort Connector Road within 3 days. The letter claimed the time frame was too short for the designs and proposals to be submitted. Additionally, Morris said the contractor believed Secretary Trevor James was involved in the process, which is against the public procurement process. And finally, Commissioner of Police Erla Christopher has ordered an investigation into the allegations of human trafficking. Her announcement followed revelations by the 2022 U.S. State Department's Trafficking in Persons report, alleging that senior government officials were involved in human trafficking. In a statement, Christopher said the allegations were serious and not to be taken lightly. She met with the counter-trafficking unit and appointed a special team of officers to investigate the matter. And that was the news in 90 seconds. It is back to you, Julian and Brittany.
Thank you so much, Candice. Thank you indeed, bringing us those updates. Very interesting, folks, in the development. Brittany, what are your thoughts on the new commissioner? Particularly, what her input has been to this space. She has given what I would term a very interesting commitment.
Yes, she has.
And make some changes by May or June of this year. What are your thoughts?
So interestingly, because this is our first female commissioner, so I think that is very commendable for us as a very progressive nation in Trinidad and Tobago. And as it's coming on the cusp of Trinidad and Tobago and International Women's Day, I think it's very important that we highlight and celebrate our women. So knowing that she is, the first thing I remember hearing about her is that she was thinking about how are we going to tackle a lot of these sex trafficking and human trafficking issues. And she has hit the ground running. I think it's very commendable, and we should continue to support and see how we can transform our country and our society as a whole.
Yeah, very interesting developments happening there. Yeah. Brittany, did you have a chance to get into the intercall mix?
Well, I can't show my jersey here, but I will say that yesterday was actually the secondary school track and field day 1. And I actually have so many standings that I'm going to actually share on camera because Tobago is looking really good, I must say. like a lot of the
very
schools,
nice.
because the last time, and I must say, the last time that we had it in 2020, Bishops and on behalf of Tobago lost by 1 point to Togo Secondary. We were not happy about that. So it is a vengeance where we're thinking of coming back. But so far, based on the standards that I saw Signal Hill is leading, followed by Roxborough Secondary, then Scarborough Secondary, then Bishops, then Togo. So that's pretty impressive. And I think there's some other schools in the mix, but the top 5 definitely going to Tobago.
Very interesting. And, we continue to encourage. I see that the discourse and the debate is very active.
But of course.
Out there in relation to participation by way of athletes at schools versus athletes through their coaches that they may be training with privately and so on. I just trust that at the end of the day, the discussions would ultimately lead to what is beneficial to Tobago. And not have the athlete feeling as though I am in and between commitment to my school, participating, commitment to my coach. That's really prepping me for that eventual opportunity in terms of gaining a scholarship and so on. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes in terms of, our development, so to speak.
Agreed.
Yesterday, I would have also had the opportunity to be able to connect to, as you would have realized, coming live to you on Tobago Updates would have been the opening of a Tobago branch for a credit union, the TWCU Credit Union. And very, very interesting and commendable development, because the members of this credit union based in Tobago for some time would have spoken to the efforts and so on. And yesterday we saw the Honorable Chief Secretary officially opening the Tobago unit, Tobago branch right here at the Port Mall. So kudos indeed, and I'm certain these Tobagonians and members of TWCU are indeed happier for today having that for themselves right here, after advocating, and certainly the board and team listening from as part of the national body in Trinidad in order to ensure that it is delivered. And just in case you missed, who is TWCU? That's the Telephone Workers Credit Union. Later on in the evening, excellent program, and I want to commend Minister Shamfa Kojo and the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, the continued execution and engagement regarding the Empower TT program. I would have been at the pavilion there in Pigeon Point yesterday, and once again bringing together and continuing to share the experiences, both in terms of young men, who offer themselves for this program. And interesting enough, Minister indicating that she would have gone under trees, gone on the blocks, etc., to ensure that the numbers were there. At the end of the day, you started with a larger cohort, and in fact, the final grouping may have been smaller. But the important thing is being able to reach our young men and to connect with our young men one by one. And a number of masters also coming out, young men who are already established in the society. I'm really seeking to mentor, to support, and to guide. And I really want to say kudos and commendations indeed. If my memories, if I recall, this initiative would have started just about 2020 or so.
Yes,
2020, when we would have had the first incarnation here in Tobago, which I would have also been a part of. So certainly kudos to the minister and the entire team out there, really presenting themselves well. And shout outs as well to Kidani O'Connor, man. We know Kidani here hosting on Tobago Updates. We know Kidani in sport. And yesterday, Kidani took on a different kind of role, providing that greetings and welcome. Certainly taking on a more formal role. So kudos to you going out there, Kidani indeed, and the entire team. All right, viewers, we head on over to Tobago in Focus.
Tobago will be well represented at this year's ITB Berlin Convention in Germany. According to Tobago Tourism Agency Limited's chairman, Alicia Edwards, this convention will focus on strengthening relationships with airlines and trade partners facilitated through business-to-business interactions.
So it will not be so much marketing the destination from a consumer perspective, but more talking about the ways that Tobago can be listed. As part of the operations there, what kind of connections we can make for airlines, discussions that we need to have about niche markets, etc. So it's a different kind of show. And so the marketing continues, but it continues at a different level.
In line with ITB Berlin's 2023 theme, Mastering Transformation, Ms. Edwards said efforts are continuing in moving Tobago's tourism stakeholders toward using technology to their advantage by transforming their digital footprint.
First phase is really an assessment of where people are in terms of the kind of support that they would need to become fully online, and then figuring out what we need to do to get them there so that they will be part of a portal. Because the aim of this thing is to ensure that we have a Tobago portal where anybody who wants to come to Tobago will be able to link with where to stay, what to do, what to eat, where to shop.
Ms. Edwards also noted the importance of data collection in guiding policy. She revealed plans for representation to be made to airlines by both Tobago and Trinidad tourism agencies.
So there are some discussions between Trinidad Tourism and ourselves to make a joint representation to the powers that be to see if we can do something like that, so that even while immigration sorts out its own data things, if we can work with the airlines who are incoming, it will give us the opportunity to capture data. And information is important because it's the only way that you can make good decisions in the face of limited resources.
ITB Berlin will be held from March 7th to 9th, and it's the first time in 4 years gathering physically. The Tobago Tourism Agency Limited is a statutory body under the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transformation.
Yes, good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. As we head on into this segment, we're going to be going into our birthday celebration. Birthday celebration. All right, and we get started this morning. And these birthday shout-outs are coming from Ria Richardson George. All right, we start up with, yes, Ifame Ramsey. Ifame Ramsey, and I'm hoping that I got that pronunciation right. Ifame Ramsey, wishing you a happy birthday and God's continued blessings coming from the entire Tobago Updates family. And on screen, I see, we got the twins celebrating, Fifi and Gigi. Ria, I hope I got that right. Fifi and Gigi. And these are the, twins from Speyside. Birthday love and blessings from your children, grandchildren, Oswald, Ria, and the entire family. Auntie Esther, shout outs to Auntie Esther there out in the US. This is Fifi, and on screen now is Gigi. All right, so before we had Fifi, and this is Gigi, wishing you a happy birthday. And indeed, God's continued blessings coming from Ria, the entire family, and also the Tobago Updates family here, wishing you enjoy the celebrations. Enjoy the celebrations. Imagine we're into March already.
I know,
March
right?
of 2023. The year just seems to be running ahead.
It is, definitely. I don't know what it has in store for us, but let's see how March brings for us, because of course this means that we have a lot of opportunities. And did you notice that the pui trees have started to bloom already? Which means exams are in the air, right?
coming right around in that,
exactly.
in that mode.
Yes.
All right, as we head into our rundown for this morning, we get the conversation started with John Arnold, CEO of the Tobago Festivals Commission Limited. And we're speaking to the Tobago Jazz Experience, The Return.
The Return, yes.
Who else do we have on the lineup this morning, Brittany?
So we also have Winston Pereira, who is the interim president of the Book of Vigils Council. So of course, you're going to assume that he's going to be talking about what's going to be happening for Easter, since Easter is also coming up. We're going to be having a very packed month for April, because we're going to have Easter celebrations, we're going to have jazz. I'm like, what else are we going to have? It's going to be a lot of things, right?
Very interesting indeed. And we wrap this morning with Darren Henry,
yes,
Assistant Conservatory of the Forest.
Yes,
and we're speaking World Wildlife Day 2023. So we look forward to those discussions happening this morning in the rundown here on the Tobago Updates morning show.
Yes,
and we're going to go to the live very quickly. In the mix with us this morning, I see Miss Sharon Mills. I trust that 60th birthday celebration is continuing and that you are enjoying to the fullest. You know, you've done your bit, you've made your contribution. Now it's time to do it on your own time.
And to enjoy your retirement, which is always important, because
certainly.
You work hard, so you need to be able to play hard too, right?
Correct. All right, we also see on the live this morning Miss Carol Fraser Davidson, Winston Pearl, Murray Baird, Donnie Vincent.
Lovely.
We thank each and every one of you, Liesel James, QK Melville, Godfrey, We thank each and every one of you for continuing to show that love and support and for choosing the Tobago Updates morning show as we continue to come to you here live. As I indicate each and every day, we are on top, we are number one, and we are leading the way because of each and every one of you. You choose us day after day, and we say thank you. Every step of the way, we say thank you indeed. So viewers, once again, those of you joining us via TV, those listeners on the radio, and those of you connecting with us online, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the light, share the light, share the light.
Be watching Let's Talk Tobago on Tobago Updates, Mondays to Fridays, 6:30 a.m.
You're watching Let's Talk Tobago.
It's back. The new comedy drama stage play by Alan Charles. Midlife crisis. The kids are grown. The mortgage paid. It's now their time. That's the problem. Coming to Shore Park Complex, Tobago. 7 p.m. Saturday, 4th March. And Central Bank. 7 p.m. Saturday, 11th. And 6 p.m. Sunday, 12th March. Tickets $175. Available at A&A's Pharmacy, Port of Spain. Maranatha, San Fernando. Living Legacy Pharmacy, Arima. At the Shore Park Complex. Penny Saver. And Pablo's in Tobago. Or online. www.theticketsellers.co.uk. Midlife crisis. For better, not worse.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show. To them once again, they better look out below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look out below, 'cause this is your show.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall, Scarborough, Tobago. It is 7:19 a.m. And as we welcome you back, we are preparing to head on into our interview this morning with John Arnold, CEO of the Tobago Festivals Commission Limited. And you know, everyone wants to hear the Festivals Commission. Everyone wants to hear tourism now. Because we're in March, Brittany, and
Yes,
we're
we
talking
are.
jazz. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. John Arnold.
Good morning, John. How are you doing today?
Morning, everybody. Morning.
All right.
Good morning.
Yes, so we're hearing you loud and
Yes, we
clear.
are.
We're happy to welcome you on set this morning. We saw some names, and let's start from there. Yesterday, March 1st. So Carnival ended just about a week or so ago, and the uproar started. When are they going to deliver the names
Yes,
for
even
jazz?
before,
we
even
wait
before
until
March started,
yes,
right?
we wait until late again. Clearly, we saw that apparently the intent was to work with the March 1st in terms of the delivery. So let's start from there with the reveal. Is that all? Can we anticipate more?
Yeah, so I mean, what happened yesterday was that the advertisement we had in the Caribbean Beat actually came out, and so we anticipated that once that was out, we basically had what was called a kind of soft launch. But the official launch will take place next week, Tuesday, and I don't want to preempt that. I want us to all look forward to Tuesday, 4 o'clock. We're going to launch officially the TJE, the return, Jazz the Return, and so far I know some of the artists have already been revealed. Boyz II Men, Coffee. We also have Richie Spice, Everton Blender, and from Trinidad already some of everybody knows the jazz buffs all know that. People like Vonette Bigfoot, who has a huge following and who also happens to be one of those local jazz personalities. We also have two great jazz personalities in Theron Shaw, Tony Paul, and from Tobago, Sharon Phillip. So we have those right now that are going to be out, but look forward to next week, Tuesday, when we'll have the official launch. And as I said, I don't want to preempt that in any way.
People have also been clamoring for persons like Chronix and Bruno Mars. So are they also in the budget, or are we going to have to wait and see before we continue?
Well, I mean, you know, on Facebook, you have several comments all the time, you know. But I think people who are not in planning, of course, it's an easy thing to say. People who know the business, to afford Bruno Mars, you better have 4 million US kind of hanging somewhere. So I think it's good to make those wishes. And, you know, not only Chronix, they have several persons we'd love to have. Several. We'd love to have Usher. We'd love to have Alicia Keys. We'd love to have Sade. We'd love to have several people. But I think, as everything else, we want to stay within the budget. And again, the aim of the festival is to bring people to the island, much more than music. We have so much to offer in Tobago. That's much more than the music, right? So I think that's the attempt to bring people to us, right? And to
All right. So
Okay, so yes.
Yeah, we would have had a little break there, and very interesting. You know, the lineup of artists.
The cast
and,
is the cast is definitely something that's interesting.
certainly
But
seeing the feedback coming in because I think there were particular expectations.
Yeah, sorry
All
about
right.
that.
yes, we're
Yes.
back.
So I see that you're back with us.
Yeah, I had a little disruption there on the line.
All
So
right.
I think, in a nutshell, where we are, and the team that worked assiduously and in collaboration with several of the other agencies from DotCat, TTAL, TPAC, etc. And we are, I can assure you that it's going to be a good festival. I think the last time I heard this kind of buzz yesterday, I had to literally stop answering my phone. And the last time we had this kind of buzz, I can recall here online. And I don't know, the buzz is just kind of crazy, but I think we have to ride with it. And I think look forward really having a lot of people come to Tobago. And again, this is all tourism.
John, for the benefit of our viewers that are not as active on social media, I want you to walk us through the idea or the lineup for the days just a bit in terms of where would we be. I trust that those decisions have been made. The period for a Jazz 2023 is Thursday the 20th to Thursday the 20th. Yes?
But Julian, you're still preempting my launch. You're not giving me the opportunity to do that launch on the 7th at all. You want me to give you everything today.
So probably we should just finalize the date.
I think the
20th
reveal...
to the 23rd.
But isn't just
right. So the 20th is a Thursday.
Right.
That's going to be the gospel jazz. The Saturday will be Space Eye Jazz, right? And that will be more the gay world music. And then we have Sunday, the international night. That's where it is. And let's wait for the great reveal, the details, the prices, everything on Tuesday.
All right.
Certainly not a problem at all.
Oh, that sounds, Julian.
Viewers, you see, you got the days lined up here only on Tobago updates.
Well, that is true. So we're grateful for that.
So the target, the continued target for this year, John, just as a quick reminder, we're still reaching out heavily to our Trinidad and international. Give us a little insight into those efforts at this time with the coordinated agencies.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this time, because you have a festival that has a name and it has, the jazz following is one that's known, but the research has indicated that over 65 to 70% of visitors for Tobago Jazz comes from the domestic market in Trinidad. And I think that will continue. The efforts will continue through the regional and the international markets for all those jazz followers and people who follow festivals. And I think just the idea of jazz returns, I think is really something that augurs well. Already I'm getting calls already from New York, from Atlanta, of persons who are already saying, oh, we are back. So I think even though the numbers, we can't predict that at this time, what we have to do is really work hard to make sure all the various agencies are lined up to support this effort of bringing people to Tobago, this wonderful paradise.
All right, thank you there. Thank you there so much. John Arnold, CEO of the Tobago Festivals Commission. And just as a reminder, folks, the official media launch takes place next week. Tuesday it is, John?
Correct, on the 7th.
Do we have a time?
Yeah.
All right, so next week, Tuesday, and remind us of the time.
Yeah, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
So it's next week
and it's
Tuesday
going to be live streamed, everything.
Okay.
Excellent. So it's next week Tuesday at 4 p.m. And we're going to get the full lineup running from the period of Tuesday 20th to Sunday 23rd April. So we got to lock in those dates. It's Tobago Jazz, as it is officially termed. This is the return. And certainly the expectations are extremely high. Thank you very much, John Arnold, CEO, for joining us here.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, at the Tobago Updates morning show. Viewers, Brittany, there's excitement.
There is,
because excitement.
I saw some comments of persons like, okay, you can't be single for jazz because, of course, you will be listening to Boyz II Men, you'll be listening to Coffee, you'll be listening to so many people, Richie Spice, you'll be thinking, wow, this is going to be very much an eventful time. So it's just a wait, as John said, about what exactly the lineup is going to be, how everything is going to be, and how much it's going to cost, because that is also a factor in preparing for jazz. And even knowing that he would have mentioned that the domestic market is who we are going to be focusing on. They would need to know how they're getting their flights. Of course, Cal needs to make sure and step up their air bridge and all these different logistic factors to make sure that we have a very successful jazz experience, the return.
Yes, you say, Cal, and I'm just, concerned the ratings are still not up there for me just yet. And I'd love us. I really hope that Carl is able to step up to the plate enough. We'd like, for those of you listening out there, yes, and I know Caribbean Airlines Limited, Carl, you are listening. We'd love to have you on the Tobago Updates morning show. Let's talk about the strategy and the plan to really be able to actively support to be able to support the upcoming festivals as scheduled for this period here in Tobago. Notably, just in case you're not aware, Carl, Easter and the Tobago Jazz Festival, major activities and events happening
in 1 month.
in Tobago. So we'll certainly be connecting, and we're looking forward to that opportunity. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show. And for those of you joining us online, remember this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back. It is 7:31 a.m. And welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. As we prepare to head on into this segment, we have on the line Buku Village Council, the interim president, Winston Pereira. We're speaking about the Buku Village Council General Meeting and the 95th annual Buku Goat and Crab Festival.
Wow.
Good morning to you, Winston Pereira.
Hi. Good morning, Julia.
Good morning,
Brittany.
Good morning.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Right,
Good.
great.
Hear you loud,
good morning
loud
to the rest
and
of
clear.
Tobago online. Go ahead.
So we want to thank you very much for joining us here this morning. As we get started, we got to start the conversation for a number of years, interacting with Winston Pereira, and I'm seeing now from PRO to interim president. So just give us some updates in terms of the happenings at the Buku Village Council, in terms of this what I understand may possibly be an interim executive, or you can guide us accordingly.
So I don't know if you're aware of the actual the head body overseeing village councils in Buku in Tobago. The organization of village councils basically headed up by Mr. Trevor Isaac. And what Mr. Isaac attempted or did do was try to regularize all the village councils throughout the island in regards to leadership in the interim, because we have a AGM scheduled to occur on the 9th of March at 7 p.m. So within the period of time when the interim council was installed, interim executive was installed, that was in December, we were in place to ensure that the events and other things that are associated to the village councils within the village council's remit was up and running, one of them being the goat races, and making sure that the systems and everything are in place. So if an AGM, or when the AGM occurs, the incoming executive would be easy. It will be easy for them to hit the ground running. So that's where we are in terms of the village council.
So, Winston, question: what are some of the plans for the Village Council for this year? Because I know, of course, the Boat and Crab Festival is going to be a major feat, but any other things that will be happening for Buku Village Council throughout the year?
Well, we have a few prototypes that we want to bring online. Of course, besides the goat races that occur during the Easter, we have the heritage that basically comes under the remit of the village council as well. And then, of course, we have other things that are offshoots of this particular event, because our intention, as I've already indicated on multiple times, is to develop the sport and the event. Hence the reason the village council copyrighted the event. Yeah, so that we could bring additional revenue streams into the council, and that will assist us going forward in any projects or initiatives we undertake. Because as you well know, this is a non-governmental organization and money is tight. So we try to maximize on the assets that we do have and incorporate or include or increase that asset base. Yeah.
All right, so you would have mentioned that this AGM takes place next week, Tuesday. That's the 9th of March. Who is it open
Yeah.
to?
Well, it's open to the members of the community of Buku Point. Of course, the Constitution will guide how that process goes forward, but we are looking forward to a good turnout because we want to increase the ranks of membership, yeah, and hopefully we'll get good support from the youth of the village, who we continually encourage in terms of succession in regards to our structure.
So, are there any other members of the executive that we should be looking out for the executive council?
Other members?
Yes. So I see here, for example, yourself. I see Keegan Denoon. Are there any other names or persons or individuals from the Buku village that we should be looking out for?
Well, the interim council is only 5 members, right? Interim executive, sorry, I keep saying council. The interim executive is made up of 5 members, right? Myself, Keegan Denoon, there's Linda Ramsawak, there is Lenore Duncan, and there's Sheldon Johnson. Yeah. So those are 5 members straight across the board in terms of the organizational chart, right? So moving forward, as I said, we are interim, so we're just caretakers. And the reason why this is the case is because of this upcoming event, we are basically focused on right now to deliver to the public, right? So going forward in the AGM, of course, they'll have voting, and I might not be the interim president anymore. And that's all cool, because as I said, we want to encourage you to be part and parcel of what the community is all about, and also to lead the way in creating policy and direction.
Yeah. All right. Winston, tell us a bit. This year marks the 95th anniversary of the Buku Goat and Crab Festival. What can we look forward to? That's Easter Tuesday. That's April the 11th. If my memory serves me well, April the 11th.
Yeah.
Just give us an idea. I know you can't give us all the final decisions because the team is to come in to make those final decisions. But certainly, based on the prototype and so on, can we look forward to the full return, bearing in mind on the last occasion we had what would have been described as a taste?
A taste of Buku.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll give credit to the persons who undertook the decision and the responsibility to have the event last year. Of course, we always have benchmarks, and we'll have to use that as a benchmark and improve on it. But I think the village council is more than able to deliver to the public what they expect, the expectations that they have for this particular event.
So when will be the launch of, well, I guess we'll have to wait and Keegan to say about that, but we will hope to see the launch of the annual Buku Goat and Crab Festival, so persons from Trinidad or outside of Trinidad and Tobago can see how they can secure tickets to come.
Yes, of course. But Easter is generally very busy. And in fact, because of the established nature of this event, people generally look forward to this event, and it's well known. I mean, we have, in the Village Council over a period of time, have been able to market it not only domestically, but regionally and internationally as well, by using digitization. Yeah. So people are actually looking forward to it. They know to themselves that it's on a Tuesday, which is not actually a holiday, but it's an unofficial holiday in Tobago. So we expect that organic or that movement forward to continue. Of course, we will do whatever it is necessary to tweak the product to ensure that the visibility remains high and will result in a solid turnout on the day.
Right, excellent. Anything else you'd like to share with us at this point before we wrap this morning, Winston Pereira? I know this is probably your call to ensure the young, not so young, in between, that all come out next week.
Yes, that is exactly, you're right. You're actually reading my mind, Julian. And that's exactly what we're looking forward to. As I said, it's a democracy, if that word has been bandied about so much. But in this case, we really would like people to be involved in what the community is about and have a voice through the village council in terms of any challenges or issues or ideas they might want to bring to the table, and also be part of the organizational structure, even whether in a leadership role or in a membership role. Yeah, we're all inclusive. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Good.
Remind us as well the time and venue
for the AGM.
Yes.
Right, correct. So it's scheduled to happen on March the 9th at 7 p.m. Sorry, I'm thinking about being this early in the morning.
Morning kind of thing.
Yeah. 7 p.m. right at the Buku Community Center or the Buku Multi-Purpose Facility. I don't know, but everybody knows where that is. Hello?
Any fees attached?
For the AGM?
Just making sure. You never know.
In terms of, is there a registration process?
Exactly.
All right. Well,
okay.
When is if people can show up, people can join. Of course, the Constitution guides the process by which people are installed, right? That's a separate issue. But the idea here is to ensure that everybody is fully aware, for purposes of full disclosure, that this is happening, this impacts them, and they should be part of that process.
Okay.
So basically, persons just need to show up once you are from the area.
Yes. Julian, are you from the area?
The Skeet Foundation is Buku. I have no fear. But you are aware of that.
Well, okay, of course. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much there. And as a reminder to our viewers, it takes place next week, Tuesday, the 9th at 7 p.m. At 7 p.m. It's not a breakfast AGM. 7 p.m.
Yeah, 7 p.m.
At the Buku Multi-Purpose facility there. And, Winston Pereira is interim president for the Buku Village Council. Really encouraging members of the village and so to come out.
Yes,
and clearly, once you are coming out and offering yourself, your first task at hand is the celebration of Easter Tuesday.
The 95th annual Buku
of the Goat and Crab
Festival.
Yes, the Goat and Crab Festival. So it's a good idea, and I like the fact that there's also a call for greater integration. I always believe the coming together of both those with the experience as well as those who may be new with the ideas, and so
they
really
can gain that
together.
transfer of knowledge and to be able to carry on the legacy and the history, because of course 95 years is no easy walk in the park. So of course, even things that we might have missed or lost along the way, they can be able to transfer that knowledge so we can preserve it for another 95 years and further.
Correct.
So
and that's usually a challenge anywhere you look, Brittany, especially with our village councils. I'm very happy to hear that the Association of Village Councils are also intimately involved. I remember some time back through the Division of Community Development, they would have had the installation and so on of this new executive, supported the division would have supported the elections, the process, etc. So I'm really happy to hear the kind of support that appears to be coming through the Association of Village Councils. So it's really village councils as an association working for village councils in individual communities. Good sign. We long look forward to the days, Brittany, when we will see the mix of both experience as well as youth on these village councils.
As they continue to build the communities, which is always important and the priority.
Excellent indeed. I can't believe I have Brittany on set here. Languages.
Oh, really?
Folks, I think we got to go out. So how would we say share the live? Let me pick a language. You tell us.
Okay, so the last time I was here, I did say it, and I said it's in French. So if persons can remember, I think I had said "Partager les liens." Partagilia, which means share the life. And if we were to say it in Spanish, it would be comparte el nexo or el vínculo.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll go with Spanish this morning. so you know, I won't even venture to try that. There's some things I usually leave to Ria, and this is one of the things I'd simply say. Viewers, as we prepare to head on out, remember to
share the life, share the life.
Give me the languages. Give me the...
Okay, so viewers, we're here this morning again, and of course we're having a fun time on set with myself and Julian, and I just want to let you all know to comparte el vínculo. Comparte el vínculo. That is share the life in Spanish.
All right, share the life, share the life, share the life.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place.
Welcome back, viewers, and we're now joined with Darren Henry, the Assistant Conservatory of Forests, and we're here going to be talking about World Wildlife Day 2023. Good morning, Darren. How are you feeling today?
Good morning. I am quite good. What
Lovely.
about you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for asking. So tell us, World Wildlife Day, when is that?
So World Wildlife Day is celebrated on the 3rd of March every year.
Okay.
Actually, in 2013, the United Nations General Assembly would have declared, at their 68th meeting, they would have declared World Wildlife Day on the 3rd of March. Actually, it correlates with the signing of the CITES 50 years ago. So the CITES, the Convention on International Trade on Endangered Species, was signed on that same day in 1973, 50 years ago, basically 50 years ago.
Right.
And in 2013, they would have decided to dedicate that particular day also as World Wildlife Day. So it's basically 10 years in running. This is our first attempt to really celebrate that international day. So this is our first attempt, and we are hoping that people come out and support us for it to be a success.
So this is actually happening tomorrow. So what are some of the plans that we're having for World Wildlife Day?
The team is partnership for conservation, and actually we are partner with the Department of Natural Resources and Forestry. We are partnering with the Wildlife Association to have a fair or exhibit of our local flora and fauna within the botanical garden. And it's a means of bringing awareness of the important role that our wildlife do play in terms of their ecological role and in terms of the health of the planet, balancing the health of the planet, because wildlife do have to play a role in terms of balancing the whole ecology of this island.
Of course, and you are right, because given the fact that we do have the Sustainable Development Goals, and Tobago specifically is focused on sustainable development, it does tie in hand to see how we can protect our wildlife and protect our environment and our natural resources.
Yeah.
So tell us, on the day, what can persons expect?
So basically what we're having is an exhibition. The wildlife farmers will be exhibiting the animals, basically local animals that they have in captivity, because the farmers they are nature lovers. They are the ones, we work with them and they work with us in a sense. Basically, we work together to promote and even enhance the wildlife population that we have here. Some of the farmers even breed animals and release them back into the public.
Right.
So from 10 a.m. at the Scarborough Botanical Gardens, so 6 p.m. we have a wildlife displays where schools, members of the public could come in and view the wildlife displays of local animals. We kind of separating them because some people, since from biblical days, have a phobia for snakes, so we probably putting the snakes away from others so that you don't have to go into one main tent and
you see snakes.
You see snakes, but some people have a phobia for snakes.
I do have a partial phobia for snakes.
Snakes have been feared since biblical days.
I wonder why.
Well, they have its, even though that is true, it have its ecological role to play. For example, presently, we go out in the forest, spend 6-7 hours, and we hardly see snakes. So we are concerned. And then people kill them, hunters, farmers,
regular
and
persons.
roadkill. They are being killed along the road.
Okay.
And then we have an explosion in agouti population and in some cases rats.
Right.
So snakes feed on rats.
Okay.
So if you create an off balance in the ecology, it affects the ecosystem.
Okay,
and I am personally concerned about the amount of snakes that are being destroyed. We hardly seen snakes, and I learned recently that there are challenges in some schools in Tobago with rat infestation. I mean, problems with food, etc., and garbage disposal. But snakes are the main predator for rats.
Okay, so are there any attempts or efforts to make sure that we can rehabilitate the snake population in Tobago?
Not at this present time, but we are looking at it. Our staff, we are so small. Presently, we are focusing on a few other research, but we had to get professionals from the University of West Indies to come in, which we are partnering with also to kind of assist us in terms of solving some of our environmental challenges that we have on the island.
Okay, so tell us, apart from World Wildlife Day 2023, what other initiatives or efforts are there from the conservatory, I believe you say?
So basically, wildlife is basically animals that are not domesticated.
Okay.
And it includes plants also. So presently, we have a small project where we're looking at a special species. It's a conifer species. We are in the tropics. People may not think that we have conifers here, but we have a local conifer, Podocarpus coriaceus, that is endemic to Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
A few. We are presently GPSing them, going out, finding them, with the hope of developing a management plan to sustain that particular plant species, because it's located in a unique type of habitat and they are not in any great quantity. So we are presently mapping them. We haven't finished yet. We have done about 3 sites. We know where one more site exists, and we are hoping to find others so we can develop a management plan to protect that particular type of species. We also would have had recently a survey being done by an agriculture officer where we use camera traps to look at the opossum, that is the manico. We also did the Caribbean martin surveys. We have been monitoring them for the past 7 years. Those birds that would have roosted on the wires in Scarborough, hundreds of them. So we're actually monitoring them. That is a Caribbean species basically. So that's why it's named Caribbean martin, from Jamaica, I think, down to Tobago. It's not found in Trinidad, so it's a locally endemic species. So we short staff, but we're trying to see how best we can monitor the resources as best as possible in collaboration with the wildlife farmers, the Hunters Association, the TTPS, TEMA, etc.
So speaking of the Hunters Association, I think by now the hunting season is closed.
Yeah, hunting season closed actually yesterday.
Oh, really?
But yeah, yesterday.
And how long is it normally closed for?
Well, basically until it reopens on the 1st of October.
And persons are aware of that and sensitized
Yes, well, we do. Present yesterday, we had staff on other media informing the populace about the closing of the season, etc. So again, with our limited staff, we try our best to keep our heads above the water, trying to educate people as much as possible and trying to enforce the regulations. So we just want people to really come out, even you, take time out from your busy schedule and come visit us at the Scarborough Botanical Garden from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have a
Lovely.
wildlife display. The people come and learn about our local wildlife.
So we're seeing the flyer right here, and of course, this is the World Wildlife Day Fair 2023, and it's going to be at the Botanic Gardens. So the theme, which is interesting, is Partnership for Wildlife Conservation, and of course, conservation is very important for us as an island that has so much biodiversity, and given that we have the Biosphere Award in the East. So is there anything else that we might be mindful of, knowing that we have to be focused on conservation? How do we prepare our students to be mindful as to how to protect and not necessarily, in the case of the snakes, to just kill them out?
So I think we are on an education drive, education, research, and public awareness. I think we just have to drive it home. If it would be good if we could we try to get into schools and educate schools, youth groups, because we would have invited several schools to the function tomorrow, to the fair tomorrow. Last week we'd have carried, I think it was Pentecostal Light and Light to the rainforest on a school.
Also, the actual tours to the rainforest.
So what normally happens is that we have a policy whereby we only take youth groups and school children to the forest. Adults will probably take a private person. Basically, we go to adult groups that they pay for that, and the school groups will write us indicating that they want to go to the rainforest, place, time, and the amount of students, and we will facilitate that. The game wardens, the forest officers will facilitate.
Now, granted, a couple days ago, I think one of the divisions would have found a group of people in the rainforest. Can you comment on that? Because I never heard that happens like that before.
I think basically I think a team from Works would have probably went on a reconnaissance mission, and I think a guy got injured earlier. Maybe he was diabetic, and they continued along, and they probably might met them in the forest. But maybe in going forward, when people get injured on trails early o'clock, they need, based on what you have to do or where you have to go, that person should have gone back with a couple healthy persons, and then they would not have met them in the forest.
And not only that, maybe if they had a trained professional who understood the forest.
Well, not necessarily. I think they had hunters with them. So hunters are very good out in the bush. Basically, hunters really know the forest. You know, depending on where the hunter is from. You know, so it's a learning process. You know, that once you get injured, you go back in spite of what role you have to play. Maybe go back because safety out there, and the terrain out there in that area is not user friendly. I like to use the word user friendly. I like that word user friendly. It's not user friendly at all in terms of steepness. It's one of the attributes that protecting the main ridge because of the steepness of the terrain. People really can't go and build, and I mean it's state property. So the terrain out there is really challenging.
So just a quick question as well. Is it that the weather, knowing that we're in the dry season now, has that affected the wildlife, and how have you seen and noticed any trends of how the environment has been reacting to the heat that we have been experiencing?
Well, to a point, in terms of, what will basically happen in terms of the heat, well, obviously animals will tend to look for water. And that could be a spot where poachers could go and look to try to catch animals also. But this time is a time where plants flower, and a lot of like, for example, the iguanas will be taking nests in the sand, etc. So people, and then we had the things about fires, the bushfires, bushfires or grass fires that will destroy the eggs of birds, insects, and the food for birds, because a lot of the cage birds tend to feed on the grasses, the guinea grass seeds and the razor grass seeds, and if they're destroyed, you have challenges basically. And you also have migration of, for example, the caiman will migrate to water sources in the drier period.
All right, so let's recap for the World Wildlife Day. So just to share with our viewers what exactly to expect, knowing that they are coming out tomorrow at the Botanical Gardens, and anything else you would like persons to know about the event.
Right, so basically, again, we just want to encourage the whole of Tobago, along with the schools, when people finish after work, come out to the Scarborough Botanical Gardens. We'll be having a wildlife fair exhibition, displaying some of our local animals within the garden. Come out, you will learn, you could interact with some of the game ones and the wildlife farmers, and there are lots of things to know about animals on a whole and the role that they play in keeping your environment healthy, because if we don't take care of our environment will take care of us. And we might not like it.
That is true. And I also see that it's going to be free entry and donations are greatly welcome.
Right, so free, as this is the first year, we decided to have it free.
Okay.
And obviously we would like people to contribute in the donation box, which will go towards the Wildlife Association, because these farmers have to maintain their animals. Animal feed is expensive. Maybe from our level, maybe I could probably maybe do a paper or something to the policymakers to have wildlife farmers get an incentive, because most of the incentive are more or less on the agriculture side of things, but in forestry, there are some in Trinidad, but we're not getting any access to that incentive in Tobago. Maybe the present policymakers or exec council could look into that and see how best we could support the wildlife farmers, because they do help us. We do partner with them. They do release animals back into the environment to make sure that the population of animals remain stable. But the animals are under pressure because people in Tobago think that the wildlife are inexhaustible, so they want to hunt all the time. They don't care. You know, we try our best with our limited resources. We depend on the TTPS to support us, but we try our best to do what
I guess there is a room for improvement. But Darren, let me just say thank you for joining us here this morning to share and even inform us as to what has been happening with the conservatory and also what's going to be taking place, knowing that we will be celebrating World Wildlife Day tomorrow at the Botanical Gardens in Tobago. So thank you so much.
And thank you very much for having me.
All right, so up next, we actually have Tobago Notes. This is going to be Information Division, and you are here live watching Tobago Updates. Thank you. Mr. Ricardo Alfred, the chairman of the Tobago Agribusiness Development Company. Mr. Alfred, TADCO is hosting a fishing industry forum here today. Tell us, why is the company hosting this? What are the objectives of this meeting?
In the year 2022, we would have brought back the Capital of Paradise into service. Based on the data that we would have received, based on the number of catch, we would have realized that we have a duty of care, not just to the vessel that we have, but to other fishermen in Tobago, those who are involved in the longline industry. And it's important that they understand the regulations and the requirements in order to obtain a commercial fishing license. So we're going to be working with them. There'll be a presentation done by Fisheries Trinidad for persons to be aware what is happening right now, the status, and for them to know what they can do in order to get their vessels with the requisite gears and equipments and mandatory documentation. And Maritime Service are going to be speaking about this small boat regulation to make people aware as to what direction the service is going to be going, what direction in terms of is needed to get your boat registered and that type of information.
This session today is purposed to present you with information on opportunities available to expand your fishing enterprises. We want to empower our local fishermen as a collective in building a product that is of superior quality and consistent, thereby establishing a unique brand representative of Tobago.
Over 100 people attended TADCO's Fishing Industry Forum. They aired their concerns, made suggestions, and asked questions about the draft regulations for small boat owners, as well as the requirements for longline fishing.
It speaks to a standard for the industry, and you cannot enforce a standard if you don't put the rules and the regulations in place.
Our knowledge is power. So we all are here this morning to get information on the way forward in the fishing industry. There are some changes to be made in the industry, and we welcome the changes.
They have learned a lot, and I'm sure they have hope of moving up.
The idea is to get the pirogue fishermen to move up to larger vessels. And the larger vessel you would want to move up to is a long liner. Because as was indicated at the forum here, this is a billion-dollar industry.
TADCO plans to continue its discussions with the island's fisher folk in an effort to get more of them involved in longline fishing.
Thank you very much there, bringing us the updates there coming from the Information Division, Tobago Notes. Brittany, we're in our final segment here for a wrap-up this morning. How has it been for you?
It has been really insightful, eventful. We did have a lot of persons join us today talking about a lot of things that persons need to stay in tune for, inclusive of Tobago Jazz, the Goat and Crab Festival, the World Wildlife Conservation Day. So a lot of things have been happening and a lot of things will be happening in the next couple of months in Tobago. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that.
Certainly. All right, viewers, we want to thank you so much for continuing to connect with us here on the Tobago Updates morning show. Stay connected. It's Thursday and we're heading on in, preparing to head on over to Friday morning. All right. We want to thank you so much for the continued love and support. And this has been the Tobago Updates morning show for each and every one of you. Those joining us via TV, those connecting with us on the radio, and those of you joining us online. But stay connected because from here, folks, we head straight on over to GMT. Good morning, Tobago, with Candice. Bye-bye for now, folks.
Bye. Thanks for watching.
To a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong and the vibes is never wrong. Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago. Yeah. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candice Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Grammy Award-winning boy band Boyz II Men and Jamaican reggae artist Kofi will headline the return of the Tobago Jazz Experience. According to the Tobago Festival Commission, the Tobago Jazz Experience will return from April 20th to the 23rd after a 3-year hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The festival, which promises to be much more than music, will also feature Richie Spice, Everton Blender, Terrence Shaw, Tony Paul, and Von Get Bigfoot, sorry. More artists will be added to the cast and announced in the coming weeks. Already, the announcement has generated a buzz on social media. Despite public commentary, Minority Leader Kelvin Morris claims he has information to prove there was bid rigging and corruption in the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development. At last night's Minority Report on Tobago Updates, Morris read out a letter from a private Tobago-based contractor stating that they were asked to tender for the Dutch Fort Connector Road within 3 days. The letter claimed that the time frame was too short for the designs and proposals to be submitted. Additionally, Morris said that the contractor believed that Secretary Trevor James was involved in the process, and which goes against the public procurement procedures. And Nationally, Commissioner of Police Ulla Christopher has ordered an investigation into the allegations of human trafficking. Her announcement followed the revelations of a 2022 U.S. State Department's Trafficking in Persons report, alleging that senior government officials were involved in human trafficking. In a statement, Christopher said the allegations were serious and not to be taken lightly. She met with the counter-trafficking unit and appointed a special team of officers to investigate the matter. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Our viewers, well, yes, we continue to have quite a lot to talk about within our space. I know the buzz is definitely there for jazz. Looking forward to see what happens in the coming weeks, especially with the additional names to be announced, the launch coming on Tuesday, and that sort of thing. But we're moving up to a little bit of a heavier topic this morning, and that's in regards to what's going on with some of these reports that we hear coming out about human trafficking in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, there's been a blame game going on between central government and the opposition about who are the senior government officials that were named in this report by the U.S. State Department. And to give us a perspective on that, we have none other than former Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith on the line with us. Special good morning and welcome to you, sir.
Good morning to my favorite station. How are you?
I am glad that Tobago Updates is your favorite station. I am great and wonderful to hear you and see you.
Likewise.
Now, I want to get your take on what's been going. What's the deal with this human trafficking report from the U.S. State Department? First of all, just to put it into perspective for the viewers who are watching and don't quite they're hearing these terms being put out there, but just to put it into perspective, what is it?
Well, what it is and what we are seeing is yet again politicians, instead of trying to focus on getting the job done, we are involved in finger pointing, and it does not help the country. It is a really sad state of affairs. We are being laughed at by our international allies. Instead of us just doing what is required, the blame game definitely does not work. Trying to point fingers to try to state, well, it was you, no, it was you. We have a situation where we have been downgraded for the last 8 years. And how it works in human trafficking, the U.S. has a threshold from tier 3, then you can move up to tier 2 watch list, then tier 2, and then tier 1. In 2013 to 2015, under the People's Partnership Administration, when I was Minister of National Security, there were a number of things that the U.S. demanded that we put in place to have ourselves upgraded from tier 2 watch list. This is what I did, where it is I established the Child Protection Unit, improved and expanded the Human Trafficking Unit, signed security cooperation agreements between Colombia and Venezuela, started being involved in making sure that there was proper funding for NGOs and making sure that there was that persons can be prosecuted and if not arrested. And all of these things ensure that for the first time in a long time, we were upgraded from tier 2 watch list to tier 2. On my departure, all of these things that I put in place, they were disbanded. They did not put the emphasis on it. And 3 ministers of national security under the PNM, and 8 years later, we got downgraded back to tier 2 watch list. So the fact is that there are a number of things that could be done. Instead of us pinpointing on this one thing, if it was him and no, it was them, and we have put more emphasis on exaggerated to a point that we are not trying to deal with the main issues. Now, having said that, I find it really alarming that now we are seeing people jumping out of the woodwork stating that, yes, they were aware of this situation. It may give the impression that you're trying to be, you're trying to take advantage of this, because why did you say this all the time? You were aware of this, and now all of a sudden you're saying I was propositioned and this and that. I was the Minister of National Security, and at no time was there any intelligence that came to the attention of my desk of any aspect of either government or opposition that were involved in, that would have been involved in human trafficking. as the Commissioner of Police from 2018 to 2021, there was no such information or intelligence that came to our desk of anyone holding office in government or opposition involved in human trafficking. Now, there is a difference with human trafficking and possible escort service or prostitution. That, however, is also a crime. But this was a lot of the information that I would have been hearing is based on hearsay. You cannot arrest someone or charge someone based on hearsay and rumor. I find it also very interesting and informative that the Commissioner of Police has selected a special team to launch an investigation on this, which actually is correct. Because if you have this being passed about in public domain, you should do it. What I find alarming is that both Mr. Jacob and Earl Christopher have not launched a special team to investigate the biggest scandal that has taken place in Trinidad and Tobago's politics in the last 10 years, of a president not adhering to the law and a senior government official not trying to reports of that person influencing a public official to act as it pertains to misbehavior in office, where it is a meritless was pulled back. So it is always exciting to see that commissioners of police, they will rush forward to launch an investigation. And in contrast to Mr. Jacob, when he said that that someone must submit a report, no report has been submitted on this, but the Commissioner of Police has rightly launched an investigation. Why has she not launched an investigation where the minutes of the Police Service Commission will emphatically show that at no time did the Police Service Commission suspend the Commissioner of Police or withdraw a merit list, which meant for a fact that a law was broken, and she has not launched a similar team. So, sometimes it gives the impression that the police are being manipulated and intimidated.
I want you to give us an idea of what kind of human trafficking are we talking about that's happening within our country based from your knowledge and your experience leading the police service and from the intelligence that you would have gathered over the years?
It is a very serious matter, but unfortunately, we believe that the only aspect of human trafficking involves young girls who become prostitutes and they come in on a boat late at night and then land. It is much more than that. It is very difficult to deal with. I was the head of certain investigations and operations where we raided a number of different institutions, and you will find big hardback men, and they will be there, and their defense is that they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They went to get a drink. We will see many young girls who may be illegal immigrants, and they will state that they were just by the pool having a good time. So it is always very difficult to target these individuals and have them arrested for aiding and abetting in prostitution, because it's difficult to find witnesses. And then the only thing that comes out is that these same young people now, you might try to deport them. So it is a very serious matter. But what happens is that there's also the concern of trafficking as it pertains to the abuse of the individual for financial benefit. If you recall, a few years ago, I led an investigation that released 63 persons, mostly elderly, who were in cages, 6 foot by 6 foot. They were in shackles, and we found tasers. And there were people in this country that were upset that I was able to release these people. That is what we have reached to, where we become not just sympathetic, but we seem to have agreed to this type of trafficking. And the media had the audacity to question whether it was known as trafficking. It was trafficking. Trafficking is not just about sexual manipulation of a minor. And in addition to which, there's also the concern of trafficking, where we have it confirmed there are 120,000 persons who have entered our country and not left. And they have extended they have overstayed their time. That means they are all illegal immigrants. A lot of them will be from the Philippines, the Caribbean, Latin America, Africa, and many of them what happens is that they come in here. Some of them are influenced and to be given jobs, and then they are told you'll get the most atrocious conditions, you'll get below the minimum wage. And that is also a form of human trafficking. 120,000, that is 20% of the adult population. So these people, they do not pay taxes. They are forced to work in, again, as I said, atrocious conditions, below the minimum wage. All of that is part of human trafficking. So we need to expand and stop thinking it is just about prostitution. And then what happens, even if it is that my concept as a Minister of National Security was to regularize these individuals, have them registered to prevent them now from being abused, threatened, and blackmailed by their employers, because that is what they do. And then by doing that, this would have generated an income of over 2.5 billion TT annually into our economy. And it would have played a big part to reduce human trafficking and abuse and the reduction of exploitation of these foreign persons who have entered here under the wrong reasons. So all of that is what we have to do and try to deal with. But instead of all of this, we have a government pointing fingers to say that you are involved, and the opposition is saying, no, it is not us. That is why we have been downgraded, because we have politicians who do not understand how to do their job.
Government is at all serious about tackling human trafficking?
Well, no, obviously not. I mean, as I said, after 2015, we had 3 ministers of national security. 8 years later, we have been downgraded. And the things that we would have put in place in 2013 to 2015, speaking about trying to ensure we work with NGOs, we try to put awareness campaigns, we provide the funding for these NGOs, security cooperation agreements with the countries where a lot of this will take place. That's more so Colombians and Venezuelan persons, trying to make sure persons are arrested, establishing the human trafficking unit, the child protection unit. Those are the things you have to be proactive, get the job done, just do what is required. But instead, we go back to, you are in government, and for 8 years, you're still blaming the opposition for your failures. And the only way this can stop is that the removal of this government. There is nothing against the PNM, but the hierarchy of the PNM have shown to be totally clueless in dealing with all aspects of national security, inclusive of human trafficking. And I find it is very unfortunate that they've spent more time babbling about somebody in the opposition who may be involved, and it is something that should be investigated, I agree, but why? What about all of the other things that could and should have been done that because of your failure to implement it, you have caused us to be downgraded after I put so much in place that caused us to be commended by the US government in 2014 to cause us to be upgraded?
In a situation where it seems as though the police is not ready at this point in time to handle it, and they are not supported by the legislation or the government, is there anything that the small part of the concerned population can do to fight against human trafficking?
Well, yeah, again, it goes back to trying to find proper systems and policies to ensure that there's a proper communication system between the public and the police service. Citizens are not going to come in a police station over a counter and make a report. That is why I had online reporting, app reporting, having a direct link to myself. People wanted to give information, which is why public trust and confidence in the police service moved from 14% in 2018 to 55% at the end of 2021. Unfortunately, I think we've gone back to about 14%. That the information from the public plays a very big part. Many of the raids that I led would have been because of tips that I had, and we went to these establishments that are known as guest houses, but they're really brothels. One of the avenues that I tried to do to put an end to it was to take their bar license, because by removing the bar license, it meant that the brothels would be closed down. We had the confirmation of 73, mostly in central, southern, southwestern peninsula, and that is what they use as the fronts. And again, unfortunately, because of the few rogue elements in the police service, we had police officers that would be covering and protecting these brothels, and most of these would have minors from foreign countries who are here illegally, overstayed their time, and because of that, they are now forced to work atrocious conditions, being involved in prostitution, being with dozens of people on a daily basis, and then being told, well, you have to stay and do this, or else we will report you to the authorities and you will be sent back to that country that you were in and you certainly don't want to. And that is so one of the avenues I used was to ensure that the bar licenses, when it came up for renewal, would be revoked. I'm speaking to the relevant members of parliament, getting signatures from members of the constituency, telling them, all of them, get hundreds of signatures to state that this area, it is a form of drug dealing, human trafficking, littering. You have a lot of criminal activities that take place, so the bar license will be revoked. That is what would have been done had I remained as Commissioner of Police, because I sent that out about the middle of 2021. Unfortunately, Keith Rowley, because of his pettiness, decided otherwise, and because of that, these bar licenses are now being renewed because of the specific few rogue elements in the police service that are not going to do their job, or the Commissioner of Police who decided to shut down over 100 policies that I put in place to reduce crime in this country, inclusive of that.
In other words, the government is enabling human trafficking at this point in time.
Well, yeah, it is because they have failed to have the political will and to do what is required. If it is you have a commissioner of police who was selected based on a proper system, and not persons who in the police service commission who may just decide to do their own thing to please those persons politically who appointed them. If it is that you have a government that does not have and select a Minister of National Security who has proven to be the most ineffective minister in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, because they are all unable to know how to be proactive, how to deal with predictive policing, how to deal with trying to just get the job done, but spend more time in using resources, tools, equipment, and funding to attack and target political opponents. That is the cause of concern. So for people to believe that it cannot be turned, if we turned it around in 2013 to 2015, we were upgraded, we were upgraded by the US and commended for our work in reducing human trafficking. Now it is just the opposite. We are going downhill, and it could probably get worse if we do not deal with the problem. We could very well be even downgraded to tier 3.
Now, I want to move on to this claim or this promise from our current Commissioner of Police, Mr. Ola Christopher, that we will have a reduction in murders by June. Now, is this goal ambitious?
It is very optimistic. I would hope that every law-abiding citizen would hope that she can achieve it. It is hoped that every law-abiding citizen would support her in her desire. And unfortunately, it is more of an optimistic view than a realistic one. The data is there. When I became Commissioner of Police, I inherited a continuation of increase in crime from 2015 to 2018. So because of that, it would have been virtually impossible for me to turn around crime in my first year because of what I experienced and what I inherited. And because of that, it took a while for me I had to transform the police service, turn it around to get the morale and motivation to be lifted, to get the public confidence and trust to move from 14 to 55%, and to put 100+ policies to implement, to deal with systems, to measure performance of police officers, make them accountable, and to provide the deterrence to ensure that the criminals can be pegged back. The results showed after about a year. And from that, in my last 18 months, you would have seen the highest reduction in every violent crime in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. My last year, it would have been August 20 to August 2021, was 342 murders. That is the lowest number of murders in 20 years. And it showed that we can very well do it. So what she's saying is true. But as I said, it took me a year. McDonald Jacobs inherited this. And he somehow miraculously was able to transform from inheriting the highest reduction in crime in history. He turned it around to the highest spike in crime in history in his last year, from 342 murders to over 600. So it shows that the person who holds the office has a very big part to play in the transformation of the police service and crime reduction or crime increase. So having said that, she has now inherited the highest spike in crime in our country's history, thanks with McDonald Jacob playing a part. So with her having received that, it is going to be virtually impossible to transform it overnight and within 3 months. What is more alarming is these people who call themselves criminologists. I have heard Dr. Randy C. Prasad. It is the most ridiculous comments I have ever heard. He is trying to say that it can very well work because of what is known as secondary crime prevention. Secondary crime prevention involves avenues for young persons, especially, to turn themselves away from a life of crime. Now, criminologists in this country use that because they do not have a clue as it pertains to the primary aspect of reducing crime, which is known as primary crime prevention. That involves hard targeting, deterrence, measures to peg back criminal elements, make life difficult, and take away the product of opportunity. Measuring performance and accountability for police officers. That is primary crime prevention. That is what I use. I went after the criminals, went after them hard, pegged them back. Because the criminologists do not understand that, they turn to Project Hope, Project Reason, Project Building Blocks, and all of these are known as secondary aspects to try to win hearts and minds and turn persons away from a life of crime. This criminologist, Randy C. Prasad, had the audacity to mislead the country to state that it was because of such projects that caused the massive reduction in crime when they had these projects from 2014 to 2017. I could show that what he's talking is total nonsense, because up until 2013 to 2015, it was the highest reduction in serious crime in history, and it had to do specifically because of the hard targeting measures I enforced as the Minister of National Security. In 2015, after I left, Minister Dillon did not enforce such policies, and the same Project Pride and Project Hope and Project Building Blocks and Project Reason and all of these projects that they love to call to sit down and talk with young persons. How come he said that this went on until 2017, but from 2015 to 2017, we saw a massive spike in crime yet again? So these secondary aspects are long-term. You only start seeing that after years. To have an immediate impact in crime, you've got to go after the criminals. You've got to press hard. You've got to fight fire with fire. You've got to peg them back and let them put the fear into law enforcement whilst adhering to the law. So that is what the Randy C. Prasads and them, they are giving the country a false sense of hope, but it is how our criminologists are. They do not do research, they do not do data, and they babble things because of what they are only fully aware of. So unfortunately, as much as I would love to believe that Lola Christopher, she has good intentions, it is going to be very difficult, especially because of what she inherited from McDonald Jacob with the highest spike in crime in our country's history.
From what you've seen so far, has she tried, or is she doing anything that you would see that would be effective in trying to achieve this goal?
Well, there would be covert and overt operations that need to take place. So there will be covert operations. Obviously, you will not have you should not bring forward to the public. But like myself, there were a number of overt operations and initiatives and policies that I implemented that made it known, such as the formation of the Special Operation Response Team. That was shut down by Jacob, and he replaced it with a National Operation Task Force. We recall what SWAT did. SWAT stopped, put an end to kidnapping. They dealt with arresting and shutting down a number of drug blocks, criminal elements. The new unit that has been formed in the last year, their biggest success has been to arrest an old lady for selling school books on the side of the road. And nothing against these officers, but it is because of lack of leadership and direction. You need to have that elite unit similar to SWAT, a highly tactical trained unit with intelligence gathering being pumped directly to them for them to go after the criminal elements. This unit was also heavily involved in predictive policing. They stopped dozens upon dozens of murders from happening. So there are things that you can do from IT, technology, the Operation Command Center, the Commissioner's Command Center. So there were over 50, 60 policies that were very overt that I implemented, and it was known to the public. She has not yet established one. She has not stated one of these operational, tactical, hard-targeted law enforcement policies she intends to pursue. If there are covert aspects, obviously that wouldn't be known to the public. So if she wants to keep it close to her chest, that is her right. But the results people would expect to see results. It is also very I don't know if it's coincidental. She's supposed to retire in May, but she stated that in June she expects to see the results. So I don't know if that is just a coincidental number. But when you give a figure to say in June you're going to reduce crime, what it is that you did to measure this? Why not March? Why not September? Why not next year? How do you come about with June? And she has not answered these questions. But as I said, it must not be seen as criticism, but I think it is more optimistic than realistic. We would love for it to happen. I ask the public to support her to ensure that it happens. But after inheriting the highest spike in crime thanks to the ineffective leadership of McDonald Jacob, it is going to be very difficult for her, if not impossible.
It's easy for us to look at some of the murders that are happening and just be like, it's just some delinquents on the street just getting up to no good, getting themselves involved in gang activity and so on. But we all know that oftentimes there is something larger, the larger force behind a lot of the criminal activity. I mean, what do you know about what's driving it and what's allowing it to grow and fester into such a massive problem in Trinidad at this point in time?
It is known as a product of opportunity. That is what crime is. Crime is a product of opportunity. The greater the deterrent, the less likelihood persons would commit crime because they know there's a greater chance of them being apprehended. And not just for violent crime. It involves money laundering, white-collar crime. You put proper systems in place, which is what I did when I was able to amalgamate the different arms of the police service because they were in silos operating, not working side by in synergy with each other. So the white-collar crime unit, the FIB, the cyber crime unit, the ACIB, brought them all together under the white-collar crime unit, to ensure that we can deal with that type of crime. Likewise, if it is that we don't put those systems in place, the criminals will now see the product of opportunity. So up until August 2021, the criminals were fearful. They didn't know you'll be hearing. Anytime you will see police officers, you'll figure it was the commissioner with his boys. We were put in everywhere we turned. We were able to make sure we will put a dent on criminals and peg them back using a lot of technology, the establishment of the social media unit, monitoring and looking and pinpointing what may take place in the very near future that prevented dozens upon dozens of murders from taking place by intercepting the individuals on their way to assassinate someone. That is the type of action that is required. If those things do not take place, the criminals will start feeling emboldened. They will remember up until August 2021, there was no such thing as home invasion. Now, because they knew a criminal will know that if he does something within seconds, because of the operational command center, because of a proper 999 system, because we had the emergency response patrol with 90 vehicles plastered throughout the country 24 hours a day, which meant that if someone called 999 within 5 minutes maximum, you will have a response. Because the criminals know that that is no longer there, they believe they could jump over a wall, break into a house, rob someone, take something, and walk back out, and they're not going to get a response in within half an hour. So the product of opportunity is there, and that is what has caused these criminal elements to now step back out and take control. Unless we fight fire with fire, we use technology, we use the type of policing that is done worldwide, we use predictive policing, it is going to cause the criminals to continue to invade the privacy and the rights of the law-abiding citizens.
So much, Mr. Griffith, for just giving us your insight. Of course, your insight is always very valuable, and we always appreciate you coming on to speak with us.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you again. Well, viewers, we have a lot more coming up for you on the program, so please don't go anywhere, because we'll be back right after this break.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia. Let's go, go. Do more, live more. Do more, live more. Oh. Do more, live more. This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Do more, live more. Come on in.
Be watching Let's Talk Tobago on Tobago Updates, Mondays to Fridays, 6:30 a.m.
You're watching Let's Talk Tobago. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and
Back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Well, viewers, we are getting into some talk this morning about just to kind of sort of clear the air, some things that happened over the weekend. Because over the weekend, one of the most looked forward to events was that of Call to Paradise, put on by Opulence Promotions. However, things didn't go quite as planned. So just to give us a perspective on what's happened, to address some of the concerns that patrons may have had or experienced, we have none other than Mr. Ernan Clark on with us this morning. Good morning and welcome to you.
Pleasant good morning, Candace. Thank you for having me, and good morning to your viewers.
Now, we had a lot of people looking forward to Call to Paradise.
Correct.
Carnival was back, and of course the events came back, and Call to Paradise was, before the pandemic, was becoming that go-to event. Correct, after yes. Carnival.
Yes, it has.
It was just one of those perfect ways to cool down.
Yes.
And you all had a great show planned.
Yes.
But it didn't quite go to plan.
Very much so. Again, I do have to apologize from on OP Events side. We do apologize. We sincerely apologize in regards to the attendance of 3 of our main acts who did not attend the event. But all in all, the event was tremendous. We did an exit poll with some of the persons who attended the event. We got roughly an 8 out of 10. The 2 is not having the acts there. If something was beyond our control, we try our best to mitigate the situation, but unfortunately, it just could not have worked out in the last minute. We even try as well to secure artists outside of who we had, but it just wasn't working out at that last minute interval in regards to where we got the announcement that they wouldn't be able to perform at our event.
Now, was there any chance to even advise patrons before the event that
it happened so close,
so close
that even advising, we made a decision as a part of the management that here what at this particular time that we will have to really let the patrons know that the artist was unable to come and perform, because one of the artists, which is Skinny Fabulous, he actually was in the airport. If you saw the recording that we posted, you will see the back counters and so on.
Yes.
His particular reason is that, more or less from his management, is that he had to travel back because of a medical situation with his mom. So he was at the airport trying to weigh in regards to if to come to Tobago, if to go and see his mom and so on, because it was a serious matter. So at the end, we were still waiting and so on, and we honestly could not have pressured him, because it's a personal issue. It's a personal issue, and it's his mother. So we made the decision, like, listen, hear what, and back and forth, because he had a particular time to actually purchase that ticket to get on the plane, and we made the decision, hear what, Skinny, you get on the plane, go and make sure that your mom is okay. We definitely will do something bigger and better later down in the year, where you will be part. And he, as mentioned in his video, when he comes back, he is going to give a super show to the patrons of Tobago and whoever attends our events, OP events, that is. In regards to the other two entertainers, booked, everything was ready for them to perform. But as far as we would have been informed, is that another entity had them booked, and it was a way of, here what, you can't perform there, you have to perform here, and we just try to mitigate the situation, but it was no fault of ours, as the artist has indicated.
So it was basically a problem of their management teams as well.
Yes, so more or less, we try our best to mitigate the situation, knowing our brand, knowing Opulence Promotion, or OP Events for short, knowing me as an individual. I know I stand for excellence, I stand for an experience. All of our artists from events before have arrived at our events, performed, everything was perfect. We know a lot of people was looking forward to seeing the artists and so on, but additional to that, the ambience, the food, the drinks, everything was on point, everything was perfect. We went to a new venue. The venue was amazing. Everybody complimented, so much so the management of the Crown Point Beach Hotel would have indicated that they already have huge inquiries and also confirmed bookings for 2024 once Call to Paradise is happening at the venue.
Certainly. No, there was something different that you guys did this year, and this was in the way that you all organized or sold your tickets.
Yes.
One was for drinks inclusive, and then you had the all-inclusive package. How did that work?
Well, surprisingly, based on us changing the format in regards to the drinks inclusive and all-inclusive, we had 100% buy-in for the all-inclusive. We were quite surprised. We thought persons would have run to be more attracted to the drinks inclusive because it's a cheaper option. So we realized that the market is there. Our clients, additional to that, was more so the foreign international clients and Trinidad clients, because our online ticket sales were out of this roof. Yeah, so it was pretty amazing, and that's one of the things that we use as our exec post, because we sent emails to individuals to find out, how their events was. Even myself in the event as well would have been walking around asking clients, and apologizing as well to clients. So we see the buy-in from the market that we really trying to tap into to get them to come over to the Tobago space, because our thing really and truly is not just about keeping an event, it's not just about holding a fete, but it's really about the experience of coming into this space, the experience of coming to Tobago, experiencing that beauty, that warmth, that welcomeness in this space. That's why we normally look for spaces that's outside the box. We don't go into a car park and try to build it out. We normally go look for spaces that it's extraordinary, and take them to beyond.
Yes, certainly. And I mean, Call to Paradise definitely does that.
Yes.
Now, I kind of want to move the conversation a little bit. So just some overall views on Carnival, the conclusion of Carnival, and so on. Now, I know from a promoter's perspective, nationally, there was, I mean, Carnival almost seemed to be a miss, a hit and miss for a lot of promoters. It did not do well. Events did not really come off as a lot of people were expecting.
Correct.
What was your experience? I mean, just as a whole, just looking at it in a general sense.
Well, normally on a yearly basis, once there's carnival between Trinidad and Tobago, especially the national carnival, I partake in Trinidad carnival. I go down for a short period and come back. This year, I actually opted to stay in Tobago to mind my business, as they say. But more so, I took part in going to night mass. I didn't go to Juve. I'm not much of a Juve person, but really and truly, we do as an entity overall in the Tobago space have to sit down, reevaluate, look at what's going on in the space, be serious about it if we really want to be making an investment for the National Carnival and also the October Carnival. We can see clearly that persons opted for the October Carnival and not the National Carnival. Most persons went to Trinidad. Now we can create a product in the National Carnival that kind of what we don't have in the October, we look and see how we can build out the February space. My thing is that we definitely know a lot of people leave from Trinidad to come to Tobago, to not just cool down, but more so to actually do the religious groups come, the camps and so on. So we can look at investing into that, like building out Speyside Field, building out Turtle Beach, field at Corland there, that we create campsites and have persons come to Tobago, and we create that kind of energy and financial buy-in on that end. But where it is from a carnival perspective, I know a lot of persons for and some are against. For me, honestly, and where it is that where it works financially, not just for an individual, but more so for the Tobago space. If it's not working, definitely we have to revisit. We have to look at what's working. We see the Tobago Carnival. It had hiccups. A lot of things happen in the back, but definitely it's a product that could be built on, a product that we can sell internationally, because that's what we're really looking for. The revenue that the foreign investment, the foreign buying, the October Carnival has that potential. And if it is that it needs the boost, it needs the more financing into bringing it up to a standard, we definitely have to look at that, and we have to hold the bull by the horn and say, listen, hear what, this thing can't work in February. This is what we're going to build out. If it's kiddies, or if it's just mud mass alone, or if it's just kiddies, mud mass, and Juve in one particular area and not have it split up. We do one in Roxborough, we do one in Crown Point, we do one, or we look at keeping it holistically in the Scarborough space. We definitely have to look at it, because it's just, you're not getting a return on investment, especially from the THA standpoint. Investing, well, I'm not sure what's the final budget for February, but I know the initial budget was $9 million. I'm not sure if all was spent based on what happened and so on, but definitely at a $9 million buy-in, you definitely want to see some return on investment, and definitely anybody can see that there wasn't any return on investment on that $9 million this year. Yes. I'm not sure as an entity, because I don't have all the answers. We can come together as a body, as a unit, Tobago that is, and see what's best and what's suited and works for us. I think some of that money could go towards actually the heritage product, the Tobago heritage product. It's a product that I've been looking at for years. We have guys like Jared Primer and T-Pack and so on that could actually make some huge investment into that space. Once the financial buy-in is there, we can see where we could get spin-off of movies and so on, because Tobago is rich in culture. We changed hands so many times over the years that we have so many backgrounds that we can tap into and get that information out. So we definitely can look at things that where it is holistically working for Tobago, and not just one or two individuals in this space.
Now, should we leave the cultural aspect of Carnival? Because, like, for instance, like kiddies I think did quite well, yes, given the circumstances, right? Should we just leave that, like, there's certain cultural aspects for the National Carnival period, and then leave like the events, the Juve, the parade bands for October? Again,
as I said, we as a unit, as a body in this space, need to have some form of consultation. I was at a meeting where the Secretary Tashir Boris would have indicated right after Carnival, we will look at having a consultation meeting with all stakeholders in the space to see what's working best for us. And we have to be truthful to ourselves. The February Carnival was taking some lashing, and that's why the spin-off of the October Carnival came about, in order to bring heads in beds and additionally to really market this space. So definitely, if persons are really true to themselves, they'll know that here what it's not about me individually or what I think or what should happen, but if everyone puts some form of information into the pool, we definitely will come out, because we have a lot of smart persons in this space, a lot of persons in this space that's actually cultural oriented or basically who is in events, who is into the carnival thing, you know, so and even the religious bodies and all has to be involved, because it has to be holistic. Everybody has to agree with a direction forward in what's supposed to happen in the Tobago space.
Certainly. Now, I mean, looking ahead, we just had the announcement yesterday for the Tobago Jazz Festival.
Yes.
I know you were one of those promoters, that was that looked at, you know, rebranding jazz a little bit, and there was something that you tried last year that actually did the Utopia that did quite well. You know, from what is already presented, what are your views on?
Well, what I could know from background information and just being a promoter or events coordinator, definitely I know some persons are saying yay to the artists, some persons are saying nay, some persons wanted bigger names and so on, but bigger names mean
cost more money.
More correctly so. As Mr. Arnold would have said earlier in an interview, just one artist is $4 million US. Yes, there will be a return on investment, but bringing a huge artist to a capacity space of holding 10,000 persons, you definitely wouldn't get the return. And you know, it have some people saying, oh, jazz don't make sense because they're spending how much millions being an artist and we're not getting a return. But some people, the louder ones are saying, well, you should bring a big artist for $4 million, but you wouldn't get a return. What you will get definitely is the return on marketing in regards to, well, this particular artist came to the space and, you know, everybody knows about Tobago and so on. I think given to what they have to work with from a budgetary constraint, it's a good cast. I know from just conversations around, there are more artists to be added to the cast, names that actually would peak and ring a bell and be excited, make some excitement in this space. And what we as a society, especially in Tobago, have to do is really push what we have. You know, this is what we have. This is what we were presented with. See how best we could enhance. See how best we could, on social media, everybody's on, really push it, that we could have persons to buy in, our families to come in from abroad, persons to buy in from Trinidad. Because if we always try to beat down what we're trying to offer, you know, you find that person will be like, I'm not going to buy into that. If Tobagonians on the island not even buying into what is being offered, you know, why should I buy into that? As I said, so based on the fact that this is what we have to work with, we can really try to build out on it and see how best we can make sure the product itself is a good product, is a product that persons will buy into. The build out for it, however, is what we really have to pay attention to in regards to making sure that it's cost-effective one, and the presentation and the experience itself overall, because it's not just about really and truly about artists, and I can tell you that from Call to Paradise. It's a holistic experience, because even at Call to Paradise, with the artists not being there, some of the artists that is not being there at the event was amazing, because we had close to 800 persons at that particular event, Call to Paradise. So more or less, you find that in regards to people still had a vibe, it had a rhythm section, it had this. So what could we enhance the space at a minimal cost to really give the experience to individuals who coming into the jazz? And we can do stuff, because there are a lot of things culturally we could add elements into the space that really creates that experience that person will walk away with. Well, yeah, it wasn't usher, but definitely the food, the service, the seeing the cultural element add into it. You know, we take away from that, and customers really appreciate that kind of thing.
Certainly. What about the timing for it as well? Because, you know, you heard the announcement since last year that there was going to be a jazz. But of course, a lot of people, they want to hear what the artists line up is. They want to hear some details
Correct.
before they make their plan.
Yes, yes.
I mean, and this was a concern that we had for the Tobago Carnival. I mean, is the THA learning in terms of giving people a sufficient amount of time to make their plans to attend, especially those on the outside?
That's one of the concerns as stakeholders in this space we keep mentioning in regards to timing and so on. One of the conversation having with one of the authority members, you know, is based on budget, based on, you know, you can advertise, but really and truly you're not sure where your budgetary allocations coming from. So I think they're more or less kind of working on, well, we found the funding, so we could run and go with information now. So we have to try to find that sweet spot where it is that, you know, it may not be a huge marketing strategy in regards to advertising artists and so on, but more just informing individuals that on our social media platform, tapping into our influencers in this space and so on, and even tapping into promoters who may have, because if you add 2,000 from this promoter, 5,000 from this promoter on their social media platform, and you kind of collaborate with persons in this space, like, let's market this together. We put out a blast at the same time and so on. It has far-reaching where we could reach individuals that, you know, a soft launch, this is the jazz date and so on, because even at Call to Paradise, we push the jazz experience at our event. We actually had our MC speak about the jazz, the dates, and, you know, look forward to it. It's the return and so on, because what we saw, we saw a lot of foreigners buying into our event, and we would have contacted TTAL, informed them of it, showed them, and they got on board and is like, listen, we want to be part of it. And they came into the space, they put up their banners and so on. And that's what we have to do as a space. It's small, so we have to work together. That way everyone is successful, because once you win, it more or less feels like Tobago win, and I'm in Tobago, so I'm winning as well.
Because, you know, one of the concerns, you know, some people are not quite sure, let's say, about Boys to Men. But the truth is, Boys to Men actually has quite a large audience on the outside.
Correct, is right.
So in some ways, we may be missing the ball in terms of the timing to give those people from the outside a chance to say, hey, I want to go see Boys to Men and experience that in a Caribbean island. So,
well, yeah, again, as I said, I know for a fact that one of the reasons is budgetary constraints, so it was a kind of timing for that. But what has to happen is that, again, the powers that be has to work alongside stakeholders in this space. We may have some ways and means of helping to assist in marketing the product, because, again, once the product wins, Tobago and a whole wins, because individuals come to the space and I will be able to advertise Call to Paradise or other events, or advertise Tobago Carnival, and I get buy into my band Zane, I get buy into whatever events I have in October and so on. So it works and augurs well for all of us. So what has to happen really and truly is that the powers that be sit down with stakeholders and see how best we can build out a product that we could advertise, we could push for. But we normally think about the market regionally and internationally to buy in. But one thing we overlook as individuals in the space of Tobago, we have a huge market just 3 hours away by boat and 20 minutes by plane. Thousands of persons we could actually come to fill Pigeon Point or Speyside or whatever jazz experience that's happening in the space. So first and foremost, because realistically, international flights in Tobago is minimal to none at this point in time. And to get over to Tobago is difficult as domestic as it is. So imagine an international flyer coming into Trinidad and then trying to come across to Tobago. So the numbers will not be as high as even if we do advertise internationally. But however, the market share what we have in Trinidad that we can get and attract persons to come into. We definitely can get 5, 6, 7,000, 8,000 persons from Trinidad to get involved and come into Tobago for the jazz experience, and who would purchase the tickets and so on. And once we see that, and again, once Tobagonians are on board with what's happening, what we can do is then have that information now next year that we'll be able to better advertise and say, here what, internationally we could start early, advertise, get persons on board to come into the space and so on and be comfortable and sell the product internationally and regionally.
Certainly. And, you know, one of the things that the Chief Secretary stated in regards to the Tobago Jazz Festival is that he wants local promoters to really come on board, because this is something that, you know, he believes should be managed by the local promoters. So do you think that this is a challenge that Opulence Promotions will be interested in taking on?
Well, we took on the challenge in last year when we did Utopia and put a placement jazz experience involved in place with Junior Kelly and Baby Sham and so on, and well, which are international acts and local acts there. So we are open for the challenge. We're actually in conversation at this point in time to host one of the nights. We already built out a product. It's a beautiful product. That is the venue that we're looking to acquire to host the event. It's a beautiful venue. It's a venue that persons recognize on a daily basis, but never yet experience an event in this space. As I told you before, OP events normally look for venues that's outside the box. Yes. So that's one of the things. So we're in conversation at this point in time. And once everything goes well, we definitely will pull the trigger and move forward. And any assistance given to the Tobago House of Assembly and Festival Commission that is on our end, because there were the last Tobago Jazz OP events would have gotten the opportunity to do the VIP deck, which was a total success. It actually sold out. We catered for 300 persons on deck there. We actually got ticket sales for close to 400. Wow. So it was a sold out space. It was really successful. We hope that comes back again and we win the opportunity to bid and execute it again, because even after that last jazz, when it ended, nobody wanted to leave the VIP deck. They actually stayed and party, because we just was looking at the videos a week ago and saying we laughed at it, and yes. You know, like person started singing and they were there.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Remember that, yes, correctly. So we're hoping things like those come back into this. We got the opportunity, and we're here to assist in any way possible, because as I said, once Tobago wins, we win.
All right, and that's a great point to leave this interview. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Erlen Clark, for being on with us and for just giving us your perspective. You know, I'll just clear the air on what happened with Call to Paradise and what's, you know, to come for this year. I mean, this year's looking to be an exciting year.
It is.
And we are looking forward for it. All right, viewers, so that's how we're going to wrap this show this morning. Thank you for viewing, and please have a safe and wonderful day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy fill the sky.